One study of mothers of young children showed that women reported having 73% more cognitive load compared to their partners, which only carried about 27%. Now, that cognitive load included things like planning, organizing, domestic labor, all those invisible loads, all those little tabs that we keep open because we have to think about all the tiny little details which pull on our cognitive resources. Hello, my name is Nicole Vignola. I'm a neuroscientist and author, and today I'm really excited to announce my partnership with Wild Nutrition. And I want to talk about something that I don't think we talk about enough. And that is that we carry an invisible load, a mental cognitive load that drains our funds, especially during the December period. These social pressures can lead to mental fatigue, and it's the reason why so many people feel overwhelmed in the December period, but can't really pinpoint the reason why. So if you feel like this is you and you feel like you really need to find a way to reset, then please tune in. We're going to get into some neuroscience of what is going on in the women's brain. And I'm going to give you 8 practical tips that you can implement straight away. So please stay until the end of the video because you will leave with some actionable tools that will give you immediate relief. So first things first, let's get into some biology basics of what is going on when you experience stress. When you experience a stressful event, the body releases adrenaline from the adrenal glands. Think of adrenaline as the key starter to an engine. Then you've got cortisol. It's the gas pedal that keeps everything going. Cortisol is responsible for pushing glucose into the blood system to help keep the system alive so that it can run or fight something. This is important because it is the reason why you crave carbohydrates when you're stressed and you start to binge eat. This is important because I'm going to come back to it a little bit later. Now, the problem is that when stress becomes chronic stress for a period of 4 days or more begins to impact our system negatively. So cortisol, that is supposed to be anti-inflammatory and is supposed to help the body during a stressful situation, it starts to become pro-inflammatory. This can lead to negative thinking, negative self-referential information, and that kind of looping in on yourself where you start to think negatively. Now, here's the thing. There are stresses in our environment that we don't necessarily categorize as stress, which are pulling on our cognitive resources. One study of mothers of young children showed that women reported having 73% more cognitive load compared to their partners, which only carried about 27%. Now, that cognitive load included things like planning, organizing, domestic labor, all those invisible loads, all those little tabs that we keep open because we have to think about all the tiny little details which pull on our cognitive resources. The same study showed that partners that reported having a greater cognitive load, not physical load, was significantly associated with high levels of stress, lower relationship satisfaction, and burnout. So we can see very clearly how these background subscriptions are draining our funds and how it can impact us, especially during the holiday period in December when we're leading up to the end of the year and there are about 1 million things to think about. Additionally, estrogen acts as an amplifier to stress. Whilst it doesn't cause stress, it can actually make our receptors more sensitive to stress, especially if we're fluctuating through a menstrual period or going through perimenopause or menopause. One way in which it does this is it sensitizes the amygdala, the threat perception area, and it's the reason why during hormonal fluctuations, women may feel more easily triggered and may have stronger stress reactions as well. So during high estrogen phases like the follicular and the ovulation phase, there's a stronger stress reaction because there's a bigger adrenaline surge coupled with the estrogen, which amplifies the signal. During low estrogen phases like the early follicular and the late luteal phase, there is less reactivity, but there's poorer mood regulation because of serotonergic function. Now, serotonin has been wildly misbelieved to be the happy neurochemical. What serotonin actually does is it helps to stabilize mood. What it also does is it makes our brain cognitively flexible so that we can shift from one train of thought to another. And that's very important because when we start to get looped in on ourselves, on our own thoughts, and serotonergic function has been diminished, we start to end up in a cyclical pattern that we struggle to get out of, this pattern of rumination that we struggle to get out of. So without further ado, now that you have a little bit of an understanding of what is going on in the women's brain, I'm going to leave you with 8 practical tips that you can implement right now. Tip number 1 is the physiological sigh. It's a double inhale through the nose, little pause at the top, and a long exhale through the mouth. It's basically going to help teach your brain that when a stressful event has occurred, we have the power to take control over that. Tip number 2 is you want to get sunlight first thing in the morning, even if you live in a gray area. This helps to anchor your circadian rhythm and it helps to anchor your cortisol levels as well. Number 3 is you want to try and reduce the cognitive load. When we start to write things down and we prioritize the things that are most important, we activate the ventral medial prefrontal cortex, which puts us in a solution-based brain state so we can start to categorize what is important and what we need to remove from our environment. Tip number 4 is to celebrate one small win every single day. If we can anchor ourselves to one small win every day, we start to rewire our brain for gratitude and for positivity. Step number 5 is to make sure that you're exercising regularly. You would have heard of the gut-brain axis. We also have something called the muscle-brain axis, which means that our muscles communicate directly with our brain. It's the reason why you feel so much better about an emotional event after you've exercised, because you can think about the problem without the emotional friction attached to it. Step number 6 is that you want to avoid using your phone late at night, and you want to avoid using your phone first thing in the morning. You are supposed to wake up feeling replenished. And if you aren't, then it's a call to take a look at our sleep quality. Now, this leads me to my next point. We start to crave sugar when we're chronically stressed. And that is because we need glucose in our bloodstream to support our system. When we increase our carbohydrate intake and our fiber intake, we actually support our gut microbiome, and we support our system with exactly what it needs to ensure that we can get through the stressful period. Because what happens otherwise is we start to restrict ourselves and then we break, which leads me to my last and final tip, which is to include the supplementation of ashwagandha. Now, one of the reasons why I've collaborated with Wild Nutrition is because their ashwagandha plus range has actually been combined with magnesium. Now, the combination of ashwagandha and magnesium together can help to reduce the emotional load that we carry. Ashwagandha is one of the most scientifically studied adaptogens, and Wild Nutrition uses just the root, which is the most potent part. So ashwagandha may support this entire system by also supporting serotonergic function to bring you that sense of calm. It's a trusted go-to for the mental load of everyday life. I hope that these 8 tips have helped you. They are actionable. You can start to use them immediately. And if you feel like you want to reach out and let me know how they go, then please, my inbox is always open.